What are some techniques and some things that you do to build rapport quickly with some of your clients?
Well, getting to know them through various means, and usually it's a process of getting to know them. It usually takes, I mean, the first 30 to 60 days is really developing that relationship, because people don't start opening up until you're well into the process. But there's a couple of tools that I use that really help me understand somebody quickly in a way that might take me months to understand them if I didn't use the tool. For example, with every client that I'm engaged with, we always do a DISC assessment, D-I-S-C. It's a common tool that's used in leadership and management, and it helps you understand their communication style and their work style. It literally takes them about 10 minutes to do the assessment. They get a 23-page report, and that gives me an insight on that person to help me understand how they like to communicate, how they don't like to communicate, what their work style is. Are they a high D, meaning they're direct and they're to the point, and if you come to them, you've got to be right up front with them and not beat around the bush? Or are they an I, an influencer that's a people person? They're a pleaser. They enjoy conversation. They're gregarious typically. Are they a C, compliant, analytical? You've got to prove it to me before I believe you. So understanding all of those things up front will help me adapt how I communicate with them from the outset, so that I'm communicating to them in a way that's reflective of their style. And because I'm doing that, we create a bond sooner than if I'm trying to figure that over a period of time.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, totally understanding someone's style and workflow. And you say this that can take a month or 2 months maybe?
Yeah, it depends upon the person, and it depends upon the situation. If it's a client where I'm working with other executive team members, I've probably had exposure to the client that they're bringing me in to work with, because they will have seen me. They will have been part of a 360 interview probably that I did for another team member, so they will have had some level of interaction with me. So in that situation, they know me a little bit already. So, and there's other team members that have expressed referral of me to them and what my style is. So there's that trust that's already kind of in the door. In a brand new situation, it takes a little bit longer. And this is an extremely confidential business, and you learn a lot of things about your clients, their business, not only their business, but their personal life, their family life. I mean, it's all out there, and I've got to demonstrate pretty quickly that they can talk to me about anything. And it's mannerisms, it's how you ask questions, it's what you say in response to what they say, not made up or not faking it, but being completely sincere and caring about the client. I mean, I want my client from day one to truly believe that I care about them, that I care about the relationship, that I care about them getting better. And I want that to come through in the questions that I ask and the conversations that I have, because it's truly how I feel, and it's truly what I believe. And I believe if I can demonstrate who I am through that conversation early on, we can develop trust early on.
What are some of the questions early on that you ask people?
Well, in addition to the assessment tools, I've got a questionnaire that I have my clients fill out ahead of time, and it's got some probing questions about who they are and where they want to go. But the initial conversations are learning about what they want to achieve, asking questions to help me understand what their goals are, not just their work goals, but their personal goals, their professional goals, what they're trying to achieve outside of work, what their interests are, what's held you back, what have been some of your significant struggles when you look back on your career? What are you struggling with right now? What do you wish you could change about yourself? What's the one thing that you know that if you'd started doing it, you did it consistently, would have the biggest impact on your work life? What is that thing, and why aren't you doing it? So it's asking probing questions to help you understand what their issues are, where they want to go, what their vision is for where they want to take their company, what their vision is for where they want to take their department or their business, so that they understand that you care and that you're working together in trying to achieve that together.
So finding some of the pain points, I guess.
Early pain points, or what can we solve together? And for some of these clients, it's the first time that they've truly talked about this with anybody.
I'm assuming.
With anybody.
Like you shared earlier, because they feel like they can't. Maybe.
They can't. Maybe they've spoken with their husband or wife. Maybe they've spoken with a buddy outside of work. But even that, even guys particular, don't open up to other guys about their issues. They don't open up to other guys about their problems.
It's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you've got this ego persona that you don't want to let crack or in front of your friends.
Yeah.
But a coach is there in a very non-confrontational way to kind of pull that out of you. And once you open up that box, and once you get it open, it's like the box just opens wide, and they let clients let everything out. And that's what you want. You want to hear all of that. And for some people, that could be the second conversation. For some people, it may be 30 days into it. It is what it is, and I don't rush it. It's important that you don't rush it, but it is important that you get there relatively quickly, and if you can't get there, then you're not going to be successful. If you can't convince your clients that you truly care and that they can talk to you about anything, it's hard to be successful as a business coach. It's hard to be successful as an executive coach.
Yeah. Wow, that's some really great information.
I mean, my clients tell me things that they can't even tell their spouse about as it relates to work.
Yeah.
And know that they can trust me when they tell me, know that they can send me highly sensitive internal documents because we've signed a confidentiality agreement that we can talk about. And the more they're willing to share with me, the more that they're willing to let me in their head, to let me in their heart, the better I can help them. And once they realize that and see the value of that and see that it's making a difference and see that I'm changing now as a result of opening up and telling my coach about this, it feeds on itself. And that's why long-term relationships develop. You've got this person that you can talk to from a business perspective about anything. My job is I've got to understand my client's business pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I've got to understand their business model pretty quickly. I've got to understand the jargon of the business pretty quickly and the lingo. Because I came out of the consulting world, that was part of what I did.
Right.
When I was in a number of different industries when I was with PricewaterhouseCoopers. I did a lot of work in the life insurance and the financial services and banking industry, but I did a lot of other things too. But you've got to get your hands around the issues quickly. You've got to get your hands around understanding the business quickly and being able to speak the lingo and understanding what's important to them so that you can have a conversation that's meaningful.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So you do a ton of research.
Ton of research, right. And when I'm brought into a company and have worked with other team members, I've already got a legacy amount of information, but if it's a new client, a new situation, then it does require a lot of research. I did a good bit of work with the Ritz-Carlton locally here and thoroughly researched the industry as a part of that process and did a lot of presentations to their leadership team here and really came away from that experience understanding the hospitality industry in a way that I'd never had before.
Yeah.
But it puts you in a situation where you've got to get it. You've got to understand that they don't call them clients, they call them guests. At the
Right.
Ritz-Carlton, they don't call them teammates, they call them ladies and gentlemen. So you've got to understand the lingo and use it in your conversation so that they believe that you believe and understand and care about who
Right.
they are and where they are.
No, that makes a ton of sense. I totally, I go through some sort of like that process with these interviews and things. I have to understand what these people enjoy doing, or just research them, but so I can sort of understand what questions to ask. But it's similar
Absolutely.
to what you do.
And research in today's world is accommodated easier than it's ever been before. I mean,
Right.
as it relates to a person, LinkedIn, you can Google people and find all kinds of information. So it's much easier now, but it's still homework that you need to do, and it's really important that you go in understanding who that person is sitting across the desk from you or sitting next to you in a chair that first time, so that you can have an engaged conversation from the get-go.
Right.
Right?
I feel
They
like
expect you to know that.
yeah, it builds that rapport.
It
Like
does.
you said, what we were talking about before.
Definitely.
Shows you cared that enough to put in to call them ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
To call them, guests.
Yes. Right.
And they can relate to that very quickly. So I think that that's really important.